All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Wilson Stadium here at Royal Athletic Park for the fall finale, the last scheduled telecast of the Golden Tide's inaugural Canadian College Baseball Conference season. This is an exhibition game against the Ontario Giants. So the team is based in Mississauga. They're an elite prospect development team. They're out here on a fall tour. They played UBC. All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Wilson Stadium here. All right, sorry about that, folks. We're having some technical difficulties, which we will try and figure out as we go along. Giants are up on the mound, starting things off today for the Tide. It's Jackson Leatherman. First player he is facing is Ryan Fairholme, the third baseman, wearing number 3, it appears. So that would be Felix Larose, actually. So Larose, wearing number 3, he's the first baseman, fouls that off. All right, sorry about that, folks. All right, folks, this time I really think we have fixed the technical difficulties, so we are back. There are 2 out, and now batting the third baseman, number 6, Ryan Fairholme. You would think this being the last game of the fall season that we'd have worked out the bugs, but it seems we developed some new ones here at Wilson Stadium today. So that is strike 1 with 2 out to Fairholme from Jackson Leatherman. Outside for ball 1. On your screen, it may appear to be a beautiful fall day, and it is picture perfect day for baseball. But as my old man would say, it's fresh outside. Bit of a wind here in Victoria. Last time I was outside, it was blowing from left field towards home plate, but here in Victoria, you can never count on that. That is strike 3. So a 3-up, 3-down inning. And we go to the bottom of the first. Score tied at 0. All right, folks, welcome back here, bottom of the first. Tide coming to the bat for the first time today. On the mound for the Giants, number 52, Jacob Nutt. Now, in case you're wondering and think your eyes are deceiving you, there are a variety of Tide players helping the Giants out today, fill out their lineup. Ryder Greene at shortstop. Also out there are Whit Nevins, Dominic Biello, and Kai Gray. I'm assuming that makes out. All right, so ball 1 to Podmorov, who is patrolling center field today for the Tide. He takes ball 2. So the 4 Tide players who are in the outfield for the Giants today, that's big swing for Podmorov for strike 1, are all in high school still. They train and they play exhibition games with the Tide. Obviously, if it was a CCBC game, they wouldn't be in the lineup. Strike 2 to Podmorov. But as this is an exhibition game, all 4 were dressed. The Giants were struggling with capacity, so the Tide have loaned them the 4 players. That one high for ball 3 to Podmorov. comes the pitch. Fouled off by Podmorov. Count stays at 3-2. So this is the last telecast of the fall season. But Tide aren't quite done yet. They will play tomorrow an inter-squad game. Some bragging rights as Podmorov takes ball 4 and heads down to first base with the walk. It's the inter-squad World Series. 2 squads battling out. They're tied at 1 apiece. They'll play again tomorrow for bragging rights and a chance for the Wilson's box at the Victoria Royals game. Quick throw over to first. Doesn't catch Podmorov. Now batting. Now batting actually is number 5. That's Brandon Greene. Brandon Greene has stepped in to that spot. Greene has popped this one up. Should be handled by the shortstop. And it is. That's Ryder Greene taking out his teammate Brandon Greene. So Brandon Greene becomes the first out of the bottom of the first inning here. And Podmorov, of course, remains at first base.
So clearly Brandon Greene.
Now up the third baseman, number 33, Jordan Bond. Bond takes a big cut. Strike 1 with 1 out. We're at the time of the day when shadows start to wreak a little bit of havoc here at Wilson's Stadium. Pitcher is in glorious sunshine. The batter is in the shade. So the ball is coming out of the sun. Outside. Ball 2. 2-1 now the count. To Bond. Podmorov not showing an inclination yet to try and reach second. This one fouled down the third base line. So 2-2 now to Bond. Breeze remains strong out there today, so not really expecting anybody to launch a lot of bombs. The Giants catcher, Hernandez Garcia, pump fakes, there we go, to get Podmorov to slide back into first. Everyone is ready. This one fouled out of play, so the count remains full at 3-2 for Jordan Bond. So the umpire is stepping out just for a moment. Bond stays in the box, just awaiting a pitch. Bond from Victoria, and he takes ball 4. So as Ryan Deagle, the first baseman, comes up, number 53. He has runners at first and second, courtesy of the pitcher Nutt. He's walked both of them. Deagle with a big swing. On deck is the designated hitter. This hard hit ball to first base that gets through, and that is going to score the first run. Will Podmorov comes in. Bond is also going to come in on a wild throw. So that 2 runs in, and Ryan Deagle on a chopper down to the first baseman gets a double out of that. And more importantly, he gets 2 RBIs. So, and Deagle has been moved over to third base by the umpiring crew. So 2-0 for the Tide here in their half of the first. Only 1 out for Brett Zarkowski. Zarkowski, the DH today, takes strike 1. He has Deagle down at first base. That one fouled off sharply into the netting for strike 2. If you're a pitcher Jacob Nutt, you're probably not thrilled with how this is going. He did walk the 2 runs, but he probably has an expectation that Deagle would have been out at first and none of the runners scoring. That is a pass ball. That is, whoa. That one ends up catching Deagle in the face, but he scores to make it 3-0. And Zarkowski on strike 3 gets to first on the pass ball because their concern was at home. So 3-0. And we're now having a quick discussion on the mound. Giants are down a few players, so they don't have a lot of choices, which is why currently they have 4 Harbor Cats in the field. I'm told if it is required, Tide will also provide some pitching relief to help the visiting Giants out. Now at the plate is the right fielder, Colton O'Brien. Brian fouled that one off for strike 1. Runner is going. Pitch dropped by Hernandez Garcia. Couldn't quite get the handle. So a stolen base for the DH, Brett Zarkowski. And a 1-1 count to Colton O'Brien. Pitch from Nutt. Hard hit ball through the gap. Zarkowski is wisely held up by the third base coach. So runners at the corners as Dexter Stoiber comes up, the left fielder. So Stoiber will come up. Stoiber from Comox, freshman at Camosun. Giants pitcher just takes a moment, steps off the mound. Now he's back and ready to go. Quick move back to first base, not in time. O'Brien slid under that smoothly. So, Stoiber still waiting for the first pitch of his at-bat, and here it comes. high for ball one. So 1 and 2 count now as Nutt goes back to first to keep Colton O'Brien close to the bag. Stoiber will be looking to get a RBI if he can. Runner's gone. Good throw from Hernandez Garcia. Gets through the second baseman. That will score Brett Zarkowski from third base, and O'Brien moves all the way from first to third. And that makes it 4-0. And a 2 and 2 count now to Stoiber, who has a runner 90 feet away at third base. This ball is going to drop in front of the center fielder. That means O'Brien will score with relative ease. It's a single for Stoiber. Another run makes it 5-0 here in the bottom of the first. And the shortstop, number 2, Miles Wall, comes to the plate. Still just the one out. And ball 1 to Wall. Nutt moves back to first. He's actually got a pretty good move over there. He's keeping the runners close. It's defensive miscues so far that are definitely hurting this ball, handled by the pitcher himself. Nutt almost throws it away, but caught by the first baseman for the second out. So Miles Wall is down. And that will bring up Brandon Caven. So Caven, who is the catcher today. So Caven is up. He's the number 9 batter. And he takes strike 1. Outside, ball 1. So Giants having a tough inning. Catcher is the 9th batter to come to the plate for the Tide. The 2-1 count. 2 out and strike 2. 5 runs in so far. And Dexter Stoiber is at second base. He singled in an RBI. That one low. Wall thinks about running. Almost elicits a reaction from the catcher. Everybody decides not to move, so Wall stays at second. And Hernandez Garcia is back behind the plate to take the 3-2 pitch from Nutt. Ball 4 called. So that brings us back to the top of the lineup. So Podmorov got things started here in the first with a walk and scored the first run of the inning. Now he'll have the opportunity to cash in some runs, possibly. So he's got men at first and second with 2 out. Big swing for strike 1. On deck, Brandon Greene. Outside, ball 1. So 1-1. Podmorov from Victoria takes ball 2. He's one of the older players on this team. This team is about 90% freshmen. Podmorov, ball 3. He is a junior at UVic, studying chemistry. Ball 4. That's the second walk of this inning for Podmorov, and that loads the bases. Podmorov is the kind of player that team is started for, a chance for guys who still want to play baseball, wanting to go to a school like UVic or Camosun. This allows them the opportunity to continue their baseball career. In many cases, their hometown. This one popped back for strike 2 by Brandon Greene. Greene is patrolling at second base. Greene is one of the 2 outs so far in the first inning. Chance for him to add some runs, potentially. 1-2 is the count now. Greene from Calgary just gets a piece of that to stay alive. Rebounds off the backboard. So count stays at 1-2. 2 out. Very long bottom of the first inning. Giants. Time called by the umpire. And the umpire asking the pitcher to do a little tidying up of the jersey. So, Jacob Nutt is ready. 1-2 pitch outside, ball 2. So 2, 2, and 2 with the bases loaded here in the bottom of the first. And Jacob Nutt ends the inning with the strikeout, but a lot of damage done by the Tide as they take a 5-0 lead to the top of the second, and they left 3 men on in that inning. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Here we are, top of the second. Max Hernandez Garcia at the plate for the Giants. Pitcher Jackson Leatherman gets strike one. Leatherman now has a 5-0 lead to work with. His battery mate is Brandon Caven behind the plate. Strike two to Hernandez Garcia. Down at first base is Ryan Deagle. Second base, Brandon Greene. Third base, Jordan Bond. Shortstop today is Miles Wall. This ball is flared into center field, where it is caught by Will Podmarov. Left field is Dexter Stoiber, and right field, Colton O'Brien. That is your tied defensive alignment as they get the first out here in the top of the second. That was Hernandez Garcia. That brings up the second baseman, Adrian Dewer, who takes ball one. So the right-handed Leatherman two and 0. The right-handed Leatherman is listed at 6 foot, 155 pounds. And he's just thrown ball three to Adrian Dewer. On deck is one of the tied players who is subbing in for the Giants. This ball is going to fall just fair, just in front of the left fielder there. So Adrian Dewer starts things off with a single. It was Dexter Stoiber, where it fell just in front of him. That means now batting is number 47, Whit Nevins. Your eyes are not deceiving you. He is wearing a tied jersey, but subbing in for the Giants, who are facing a shortage of players on their fall tour, all the way out from Mississauga, Ontario. And strike one from Leatherman to his teammate Nevins. Leatherman tries to get Dewer at first, unsuccessfully. Imagining that Nevins takes that one in the numbers on the back of the jersey. So he will move down to first base with that hit by pitch. And that means number 55 from tied is up. And that is Ryder Greene batting for the Giants. So Ryder Greene up. He's got two men on. And he takes strike one. So it's a somewhat unusual situation for the third base coach and for the batter. That one high from Leatherman for ball one. 1-1. Normally you look down, you're looking for your signals. Not really sure the Giants want to share all that information with the Tide, so it would be rather rudimentary. That one from Leatherman behind his teammate Greene for ball two. So 2-1. Leatherman, hard hit ball that is in front of Stoiber, but he gets it in quickly. Oh, look at that. Bases are loaded for, just want to get this right. This is Kai Gray coming to the plate now. So Kai Gray coming to the plate for the Giants with the bases loaded, and he takes ball one from Leatherman. And the Tide have a plan today, folks, for this last game. They already know who's coming in at the position places after 5. So we'll see those changes. We know what they are. But we'll see if Leatherman goes 2 or 3 innings. He's got 1 out with the bases loaded as he comes high over Kai Gray's head. Leatherman seems to be having a little bit of an issue with control. He hit Wet Nevins. He had a couple behind Ryder Greene. And that is strike 2 there to Kai Gray. And on deck, it's Dominic Biello. So the Tide players filling in for the Giants are coming up in order. So full count. Leatherman having, as I said, some control issues. That one inside, and he's just walked in a run. So that makes it 5-1. So Adrian Dewer becomes the first Giant to cross the plate today. Kai Gray walks, and that will bring up number 57, Dominic Biello, as the number 9 batter here today. Biello has the bases loaded. Fouls this one off down the first base line. Almost right out of the park. So just the 1 out, the 1 strike, and a 5-1 game. Called strike 2 to Biello. Inside, ball 1. Must seem a little odd for Biello to be up there. A sharply hit ball into the stands down the first base line. The count remains 1-2. No action yet down in the Tide bullpen. So we'll see how long they decide to go with Leatherman. That's ball 2, 2-2. The average outing for Tide pitchers is about 3 innings. We now have a full count to Biello. So Leatherman in danger of walking in the second run, and that is exactly what he has done. So it is run number 2. That's Whit Nevins, who is coming across to score for the Giants. Ryder Greene moves over to third. Kai Gray at second now. And Dominic Biello is at first with the walk. And that brings up number 3. Third baseman Ryan Fairholme takes ball 1. Tide still have just the 1 out. Ball 2. So Leatherman in the weird position where he starts in the sun and ends in the shade. Ball 3. Umpire says that is strike 1, 3-1. Fairholme is taking all the way there. No reason not to, as Leatherman has walked in 2 runs already. This one fouled off by Fairholme behind first base, takes a big bounce and hits the street. So full count now. Trying Fairholme. On deck is the pitcher, Jacob Nutt. So that's another run walked in, by Leatherman. So Leatherman came into this inning with a 5-0 lead, and it is now 5-3. All of those runs having been walked in. And Ryan Fairholme now at first base. Discussion at the mound with Leatherman, who only has the 1 out and still has the bases loaded as he's about to face Jacob Nutt. So pitcher against pitcher here. Nutt batting from the left. Inside, ball 1. So, that settles in. Takes ball 2. Beginning of some action in the Tide bullpen. This is a blooper shot that falls into the glove of Miles Wall for the 2nd out. So 2 out now. Bases are still loaded. And the first baseman, Felix Larose, comes to the plate. 9th batter here in this inning. So Leatherman looking to limit the damage, starts things off with ball 1. Straight back to Leatherman. Easy play to first. So, a bit of a rally there for Ontario after a very rough bottom of the first. They come back here in the top of the 2nd and get 3 runs. So the game, as we go to the bottom of the 2nd, 5-3 for the Tide over the Giants. Welcome back. Wilson Stadium, sunny Saturday afternoon for some baseball. The Ontario Giants, all the way from Mississauga, Ontario, taking on the Golden Tide of Victoria. Jordan Bond getting things started here in the bottom of the 2nd for the Tide. And he starts with ball 1. from pitcher Jacob Nutt. Faced 11 batters in that first inning. He gets strike one here. So 1-1 now. Bond walked in the first inning and was one of the 5 runs that came across the plate. Time called. Umpire just making sure there's nothing on the field that's going to cause injury. Nutt gets ready to deliver. Bond pulls that down the third baseline. Foul, though. Rolls through the Giants' bullpen. So 1-2 now to Jordan Bond. This one flared into foul territory. No chance there for Ontario to get it, so the count remains at 1-2. Felix Larose was running after it, but the trajectory meant it was going to be impossible for him to grab that ball. So Jordan Bond still has a 1-2 count. Bond thought about it. The Giants catchers thought about it. The umpire said ball 2. 2-2. That one low, so now a full count. If you're Jacob Nutt, you are very much hoping for a quicker inning than the last one. This ball is hard hit. It is going to find grass. Jordan Bond trying to stretch it into a double, and he will. Stand up double for Jordan Bond. Throw wasn't quite in time. So double to start things off for Bond here in the bottom of the second. That brings first baseman Ryan Deagle up. Deagle fouls that off into the netting behind home plate. Strike one. So Bond's at second. Not looking at him, but not overly concerned. He needs to get the batter. Comes in, ball one. Deagle swings through it. It also goes through the catcher, which means Jordan Bond has an easy stroll down to third base and a stolen base. So Bond just 90 feet away, as Ryan Deagle will be looking to get an RBI here if he can. And he cannot. Deagle becomes the first out here in the bottom of the second. That's a strikeout for Nutt. He's got 2 so far today. Now up the designated hitter number 51, Brent Zarkowski. Fouled off, strike one. Umpire checking, sandwich damaged under the ball after it was corkscrewed into the ground. Not ready to go. Here's the pitch outside. So 1-1 now to Zarkowski. 1-2. Zarkowski got on in the first, stole second, and eventually came around to score. It was the fourth run in that 5-run inning. That one is way outside. Jordan Bond decides, I'm going to go for it, and he successfully makes it. Strides across home plate for the 6th run. So 6-2 now. So the bases are empty. There's 1 out and a 2-2 count to Brett Zarkowski. In the dirt, full count. That delivers ball 4. So Zarkowski is now on with the walk. Brings up Colton O'Brien, the right fielder, singled in the first inning. You say the Tide put 11 batters up in the first inning. Compiled those 5 runs. Now added 1 more here to make it 6-0, which is why O'Brien is batting for the 2nd time already in the 2nd inning. Fouls this one off towards the Giants' dugout. 1-1 now to O'Brien. Zarkowski stole second in the first inning. Looks like he may want to do that again. High, ball 2. High, ball 3. As I said earlier, if there's any relief coming, it will likely come from the Tide bullpen to help out the Giants. They're stretched thin in terms of players available. That was probably a pitch that Colton O'Brien shouldn't have swung at, or he would have been at first base. But instead he has a full count, 3-2 to him. Zarkowski gone. This ball popped up. Will be handled by the center fielder. So Zarkowski trots back to first. So now 2 out for Dexter Stoiber to try and keep things alive for the Tide here in the bottom of the 2nd. They have added the 1 run. Jordan Bond crossing the plate on the pass ball to make it 6-0. Stoiber steps in. He's singled. This one not going to work at either bag. So Dewer, the second baseman, stopped the ball, thought he could tag out. Brett Zarkowski was unable to do that, and then tried to make the throw over to get Stoiber at first and was unable to do that. So Miles Wall, Tide shortstop, will come up with 2 out and 2 on, men at first and second. And he takes strike 1. Nuts pitch. No, not a strike. It looked like it was close. Not close enough according to the umpire, so 1-1. This ball hit to the third baseman, picks it up, makes the throw to first. They get the third out. So we go to the top of the 3rd inning with the Tide adding to their lead. So now 6-3 as we hit the top of the third. All right, welcome back. Top of the third, 6-3 for the Tide over the Giants of Ontario. New pitcher in for Victoria. It's number 60, Ethan Lynn. He's actually throwing to a new battery mate, and that is number 43, Andrew Baxter. And it's ball one delivered to Hernandez Garcia. And now strike one. So Lynn, listed as a 6 foot, 145 pound freshman from UVic. Hails from Surrey. You can see the shadows now being cast by our grandstand. Big swing for strike two. So 1-2 now to Garcia. Hernandez Garcia, the catcher for Ethan Lynn. Just a little outside for ball two. 2-2 the count now. And Lynn has walked the first batter he faces. So that's Hernandez Garcia down to first. And that will bring up the second baseman, number 20, Adrian Dewer. Dewer singled in the second and did come around to score. And he takes strike one there. And then back to first base, not in time. Hernandez Garcia in safely. Big cut for strike two to Dewer. So Lynn moving quickly. Thought he had him on the outside corner, but he doesn't get the call. So 1-2 now to Dewer. Hernandez Garcia. And this time, Ethan Lynn gets the call, so that's a strikeout of Dewer and the first out of the inning. So, now coming up, number 47, Whit Nevins. Whit Nevins, in case you're wondering, yes, he is playing for the Ontario Giants. They're short on players, so the Tide have loaned them a few. Nevins, one of the high school players who have been playing. Baxter's throw to first, takes a bounce and gets away from second baseman. That one gets away again. And it's now 6-4, folks, on that. So Baxter's throw there skipped into the outfield. It took a weird hop in the dirt over the glove of the second baseman, Brandon Greene. But then the throw from the outfielder got past Bond and out of play. And so 6-4 as Hernandez Garcia gets to come in. That means Whit Nevins has the base pass open and a 1-1 count.
Oh, then why are we here?
So Nevins, a high school player who plays and trains with the Golden Tide. Likely going to see him next year on this team if he decides to go to school in Victoria, that is. So Nevins has played in exhibition games this fall season. Obviously hasn't competed in the CCBC games where he would be ineligible. And he strikes out there. So Ethan Lynn has his second strikeout in a row. So he's got 2 out as number 55, Ryder Greene, comes to the plate. Lynn starting to zero in on that outside corner of the right-handed batters. Gets strike one call. This ball hit right into the glove of Jordan Bond, right at the shoestrings, but an out nonetheless. So a 4-up inning for the Giants. They do add a run on some defensive miscues, so we go to the bottom of the third inning with the score 6-4 for the Tide. All right, welcome back. It is bottom of the third, Tide versus the Giants. Tied up 6-4. Now coming to the plate for the home team, number 43, Andrew Baxter, the catcher, takes ball one from Jacob Nutt of the Giants. Baxter just came in the top of the third, so this is his first at-bat. Takes strike one. He, of course, was replacing Brandon Caven. inside. 2-1. Good eye there from Baxter to take that. Swings through for strike 2. So 2-2 count now to Baxter. Baxter, one of the older players on this team. That is ball 3, full count. Baxter's a senior at UVic, studying chemistry. He takes ball 4. So Baxter's first action results in a trip to first base. And that brings up Will Podmorov for the 3rd time today. His first 2 times up, Podmorov walked, scored in the first, was stranded in the second. Here comes the pitch from Nutt. Big swing from Podmorov for strike 1. On deck, the second baseman, Brandon Greene. Baxter's gone. The throw from Garcia, not in time. Good try from Hernandez Garcia, but just a little off the bag, which means Andrew Baxter is safe at second. Podmorov has a 1-1 count and a runner in scoring position. 1-2 now. So 1-2 count. And a strikeout there by Podmorov. So Brandon Greene steps in. He's got a runner in scoring position. Believe it's a pinch runner. And I thought it looked like it was number 10, which would be Tristan Bolger. I'll try and confirm that for you. And ball 1 delivered to Brandon Greene. Runner's gone. The throw by Hernandez Garcia, not in time in the opinion of the umpire. That's pretty close play. Nice throw down there. So 2-0 for Greene. Runner at third base. So an opportunity for an RBI here. If he hits Greene or anything in the air. Yes, we can now see that is Tristan Bolger in running for Andrew Baxter. And a 3-0 count to Brandon Greene. This one is a little chopper. The play is going to be at home. Bolger. So the home plate umpire is saying that the pinch runner is safe at home. Bolger kind of stutter-stepped and almost tripped over the bat. The umpire is saying the tag was not delivered by Hernandez Garcia. So another run scores. That makes it 7-4. And Brandon Greene, with a amounted to a little more than a bunt in terms of distance traveled, is at first base. And another run in. There goes the runner. Hernandez Garcia can't get the handle. And another stolen base. 1-0 now. Bond hits this down to the third baseman. He picks it up smoothly. The throw is smooth. So the runner, Greene, advances to third on the second out. And Ryan Deagle comes to the plate. First baseman. Scored in the first, struck out in the second. Here in the bottom of the third, a chance for an RBI. Pops this one into center right. Dropped by the center fielder. Deagle trying to stretch it out, and he will. Deagle with the triple. Another run scores. That makes it 8-4. Center fielder. This is the worst time of the day to be trying to make that catch. You are looking up and back right into the sun. So, tough play for the center fielder. But Deagle gets the RBI and a triple, and Brett Zarkowski comes to the plate and takes ball one. Ball two. You can see the center fielder unhappy, but understandable. That one gets away. One hopped in. That is going to allow Deagle to come in, become the 9th run. So a 3-0 count now. To Brett Zarkowski. High for ball four. So he will wander down to first base. And the right fielder, Colton O'Brien, will come up. So a quick discussion at the mound. On deck is Colton O'Brien. Unclear whether he'll be facing a new pitcher or not. Nope, it looks like it will be Nutt, who has the 2 outs. Probably thought he had the 3rd out. Center fielder still looking at his glove, wondering how he didn't make that catch. As I say, right now the worst possible time of the day here at Wilson Stadium to be trying to make that play, as you're literally looking directly into the sun. Here's O'Brien, takes ball one. Zarkowski, who's on base for the 3rd time this game, so looks to steal, and they're not even going to bother with the throw. So 1-1 now. Zarkowski over to second, and Nutt's focus, as it should be, on O'Brien. This ball is going to probably score. It is. Zarkowski coming in. So the single by O'Brien scores Zarkowski from second. And now 10-4 here in the bottom of the 3rd. 2 out for Dexter Stoiber, the left fielder. Stoiber is the 8th batter of the inning. And he takes strike one. 10-4 the score. To be fair to the Tide, they've probably been the more dominant team. The score probably doesn't reflect the game. Three of those runs, were walked in by the Tide. So some challenges with early pitching. So 2-1 now to Stoiber. Who has O'Brien at first. Strike 2 called. So 2-2. Net looks to get out of this inning. That one way outside for ball 3. O'Brien can stroll down to second with the stolen base. Stoiber now has the full count on deck. Be the 9th batter of the inning, the shortstop, number 2, Miles Wall. Ball 4, so Miles Wall will come up. Jacob Nutt. His arm must be getting somewhat tired and fatigued. It's only the 3rd inning. And this is the 3rd time he has faced the number 8 hitter in Miles Wall, who takes strike 1. Strike 2. Miles Wall swung very hard on that. Miles Wall listed at 5'10", 158 pounds. And that was a generous call for strike 3. Let's put it that way. So we go to the top of the 4th inning, with the Tide now having a commanding 10-4 lead over the Giants from Ontario. All right, welcome back. Top of the 4th inning on a beautiful, sunny but fresh day in Victoria, BC. Tide versus the Giants. Kai Gray is batting 8th today for the Giants. Is now down 0-2 to Ethan Lynn, who's returned for his 2nd inning of work. So Gray, strikeout for Lynn. That brings up Dominic Biello. He's the number 9 hitter for the Giants, one of 4 of the younger Golden Tide players, high schoolers who play and practice with the Tide, don't play in the CCBC. And as the Giants are stretched for personnel, are playing with them today in this exhibition game. 1-1 now to Biello. Bill fouls that one off into the netting. 1-2. So Lynn, this hard hit ball by Biello that somehow gets through the glove of the second baseman, Miles Wall, playing second base now. Somehow that slipped right under his glove. So Biello gets the single. And that will bring up Ryan Fairholme for the Giants. So Biello at first. Fairholme at the plate. Lynn with the check on the runner. Nothing changes. And here comes the pitch. Strike 1. Baxter, the catcher, nice frame job there just to help the umpire along in making that decision. Strike 2. So 0-2 count now. Lynn gets strike 3. So 3 straight pitches. He gets Ryan Fairholme, the third baseman for the Giants, out. And that brings up number 52, Jacob Nutt, who might be the most tired Giant on the field. He's today's starting pitcher for them. Big cut for strike 1. So 2 out. Biello at first for Nutt. Strike 2. The runner's going. Baxter's throw went straight to the center fielder, who is the closest person to it. No one seemed to move for the ball. No foul, no harm. As the center fielder made sure the one bag was all that Biello got. So a stolen base for Biello. And a 1-2 count to Jacob Nutt. That one definitely inside. So a 2-2 count now. Ethan Lynn wastes very little time. This one is popped up. It should be handled by Stoiber, and it is for the third out. So a relatively quick and painless inning for Ethan Lynn on the mound. We go to the bottom of the 4 with the Tide continuing to lead 10-4. All right, welcome back. Bottom of the fourth here at Wilson Stadium, Royal Athletic Park. Few changes for the Giants from Ontario. Now pitching is number 6, Felix Larose. Now behind the plate, number 20, Adrian Dewer. And patrolling second base is number 99, Max Hernandez-Garcia. As Andrew Baxter is at the plate, and he takes strike 1. And just like that, strike 2. So good start for Larose. Out to a quick 0-2 count on Baxter, the Tide catcher. That one low and in the dirt. 1-2. Baxter went fishing. That one. Baxter will be safe. He went fishing for a pitch he shouldn't. That pitch got away from the catcher, Dewer, whose throw was imprecise down to first base, which was missed by Nutt. And the end of all that is Baxter gets a trip to first base, though he has been replaced by a pitch runner. Can't tell you exactly who that is yet. Will Podmarov steps in for the 4th time today. Probably the final time today. He is scheduled to be replaced in the 5th inning by Jackson Cordell, so we'll see how that goes. Podmarov, though, with ball 1. And now ball 2. Giants just having one of those afternoons. Should have already had the first out. Big swing there from the center fielder for the Tide for his first strike of this at-bat. So far today, Podmarov walked in the first and scored, walked in the second, was stranded, and struck out in the third. And he now has a 2-2 count here in the 4th. Pinch runner has not ventured far from home. On deck is Brandon Greene, the shortstop. Podmarov now has a matching pair of walks and a mat to go with his 2 strikeouts. So he becomes the first out. And the shortstop, Brandon Greene, comes up to the plate. Pitcher Larose goes back, trying to get the pinch runner, whose number I still can't quite see. No, it is once again number 10, Tristan Bulger. So Bulger on the base pass. That ball gets away from the catcher. Bulger alertly strolls down to first base. So Brandon Greene steps back in. That's a ball. Another ball. To Brandon Greene. So 2-1 to Greene. Now 3-1. Bulger has advanced to second. Pinch running for the catcher Baxter. Big cut means we now have a full count on the shortstop, Brandon Greene. Rose would really like this to be the inning where his team does not give up any runs. But we'll see what happens as he's now just walked Brandon Greene, and Jordan Bond, the third baseman, comes to the plate. Bond has walked, has doubled, and popped out, and he takes strike one. 2 on here. So anything that likely touches outfield grass can score. The speedy Bolger. But Bond just takes strike 2 on the outside corner. If you are the pitcher, you are probably in the coolest part of the ballpark. The wind is blowing. That one swung but tipped as adjudged by the umpire. And you're completely in the shade. So Larose, as Ethan Lind in the last inning for the Tide, working quickly to keep things moving. And that is strike 3. So that is now 2 out. It's 2 strikeouts for Larose. Here in the bottom of the 4th. And Ryan Deagle comes to the plate, the first baseman. He tripled his last at bat. Was misjudged by the center fielder. That ball is going to get away from the catcher, so both runners will advance. So now runners are in scoring position, both of them, at second and third. So Bolger, who's running for the catcher Baxter, and then Brandon Greene, who walked, is at second. Giants catcher just has a quick word with his pitcher. It's got a 1-0 count. And he gets the called strike, 1-1. Deagle from Campbell River, listed at 6'2", 210. This one he fouls down the first base line. So he has strike 2. So 1-2 to Deagle. As the Giants hope the 4th inning is the inning where they do not give up any runs. They are down 10-4 at this point. And you know what? This will be the inning that they get out with giving up no runs. We go to the top of the 5th with no change in the score. 10-4, Tide continue to lead. All right, welcome back to Wilson Stadium. Top of the fifth. Tide leading the Giants from Ontario 10-4. And leading things off, Felix Larose is now pitching, and he's helping himself out with a hit that is probably going to be a double. It is an easy double for Larose, so trying to help himself out. That one almost rolled to the fence. Ethan Lynn remains on the mound for the Tide, but as was always planned, a variety of changes to the rest of the team as number 99, Max Hernandez-Garcia, steps in for the Giants. Catching is now Bryce Carroll. Over at first base, there's a change. It looks like Brody Alexander's coming at first. Over at second base, Alex Mclaughlin. Third base is Austin Gurney. Shortstop, the other Wall, so this would be Austin Wall. Chase Thompson is over in left field. Jackson Cordell moves into center. And in right field, we have Christian Bolger. And we now have another base runner. Hernandez draws the walk. So Hernandez at first, Larose at second with his double, and Dewer comes up with nobody out. High for ball one to Dewer. And a quick chat with Ethan Lynn on the mound. No real activity in the Tide bullpen, so not expecting to see a change there. At least not this inning. So Dewer steps in. That one gets in the dirt. There's going to be a play at third. And the ball was dropped by Gurney. The throw was in time, it looked like, by Carroll. But the ball got dropped, which means the runner is safe. So 2-0 count to Dewer. Runners at second and third. And this is the first real rally by the Giants that has been created by the Giants. Dewer's swing makes it 2-2 now. Three of the Giants' runs were walked in. Another one was a pass ball. So this is really the first nice chance for them to generate some offense of their own. Though all the runs count, this one gets popped up. No one seems to know where it went. Out of play for sure. Bryce Carroll did the, where is it? Look. Ethan Lynn ready, full count. This ball gets hit. It's going to take the play at first, and the runner is safe. That throw from Gurney short, one hopped in front of Brody Alexander. So Larose scores. That was always going to happen because that was a fielder's choice. But Dewer is safe at first. And Hernandez Garcia is at third. The score is now 10-5. There's still nobody out. As number 47, Whit Nevins, comes to the plate here in the fifth. Nevins fouls that one back into the netting. So Giants showing some spunk, showing some life, getting a little bit of a helping hand as well from the Tide. But that's 2 strikes now to Whit Nevins. A little bit of action down in the Tide bullpen. Lynn was trying to catch that corner, which he's had some success with tonight. In the last inning, he had 3 strikeouts, so something was working. Runner goes. That one bounces off the glove of the second baseman. And that means Max Hernandez Garcia will score. So look at that. Now 10-6. Tide remain in the lead. But the Giants not giving up hope yet. Whit Nevins, though, becomes the first out of the inning. That is a strikeout by Ethan Lamb, which is his 4th of the game. Sorry, it's his 6th of the game. Stepping in now is number 55, Ryder Greene. Lynn goes back to the second baseman. It's Noah Charlton at second. And ball 1 delivered. Foul ball there, folks. A lot of excitement, but still a foul ball. Ryder Greene comes back. Adrian Dewer has to return to second base. 2-1 count to Greene. That one outside for ball 3. So 3-1 now. This one fouled out of play by Greene. So full count. Ethan Lynn shakes off the first pitch, takes the second option, and here it comes. High ball 4. So it's starting to get interesting as Ryder Greene goes to first. Adrian Dewer's at second. Kai Gray comes up. Kai Gray has a walk and a strikeout, and strike 1 here. Gray hits this down to third base, steps on the bag, can't get the double play. Now, you can't have everybody on the bag, folks. So, It would appear that Dewer didn't realize the force was in effect. So Austin Greene, the third baseman, did the smart thing, which was to step on the bag. And then his throw to first, unfortunately, went slightly awry. So runners now at second and third as Dominic Biello steps up for strike one. So at one point we did have a moment there where you had two runners on third base, but that was quickly fixed. Dominic Biello steps up, pops this one into right field, and it falls fair. Folks, that's going to score two more runs. Biello's trying for the triple, and he doesn't get the triple. So he becomes the third out, but not before two more runs score. We're going to go to the bottom of the fifth with the Tide's lead now narrowed to 10-8. Bottom of the fifth. It's now only a two-run game. Tide leading 10-8. Now coming to the plate, number 21, Brendan Morrison. He's stepping in the DH position of Brett Zarkowski. Zarkowski walked a couple times, got a hit, scored two of his three times at bat. And now Brendan Morrison steps in and takes ball one. Larose, the pitcher for the Giants, gets the call in the outside corner, so 1-1. On deck, strike two called on Brendan Morrison. On deck is Tristan Bolger, who's been in a couple times as a pinch runner, but now is in as the right fielder. Morrison fouls this one off and out of play, so count stays at 1-2. Looking to see if the wind has subsided. The trees would suggest not. Ball two. Which means as the shadows grow, it's probably getting cooler out there. It was not particularly warm to start with. Morrison drills this into center field where it is caught. So he becomes the first out of this, the bottom of the fifth. And Tristan Bolger comes to the plate. And Bolger has been on the base paths a couple of times, filling in for Andrew Baxter as a pinch runner, but this is his first time at bat today. In this case, he's replacing Colton O'Brien, who had a single and a couple of hits, actually, did O'Brien. So 1-1 the count now to Bolger, who stepped in. On deck is number 6, Chase Thompson. Hard hit ball, but foul. Stayed very much aligned with the chalk, but on the wrong side. So strike two now to Bolger. Larose, the pitcher, gets the called third strike. So Bolger out with the strikeout. So 2 up, 2 down so far. Fourth inning was the first time the Tide hadn't scored in this game. And now it's 2 up, 2 down as Chase Thompson, who's now playing left field, steps in to try and keep things going here. And strike one. Larose, who started the game as the first baseman, came in the fourth inning and is doing a pretty good job so far. He gets strike two on Chase Thompson. So he'll be looking for a 3 up down inning here if he can get it. This one hit right back to Larose. Easy play at first. And so the Giants of Ontario have their first 3 up, 3 down inning against the Tide. And we go to the top of the 6th with the score 10-8. All right, welcome back. Top of the sixth inning here at Wilson Stadium at Royal Athletic Park in Victoria. The Golden Tide of Victoria taking on the Ontario Giants from Mississauga. And after a slow start, shall we say, Giants picking up their performance. Game's now 10-8. They've had 2 innings in a row where they have not given up a run to the Tide. So things are looking up for them as they look to try and reduce the lead of the Tide. Ryan Fairholme charged with getting things started, the third baseman. He's facing a new pitcher, number 35, Nate Major. Foul tip, so a 1-2 count now to Fairholme. And now catching for the Tide, number 46, Ryan Whalen. So 2-2 now, the count from Major to Fairholme. Major didn't like the first suggestion from Whalen. Second more to his liking, and he gets the called third strike. So Fairholme down looking, and that brings up Jacob Nutt. That was the starting pitcher. It's probably a very long 3 innings for him. This one he hits, and it's going to drop just in front of the right fielder. Wow, nice play there by the right fielder, Bolger. He couldn't quite get to it, but he picked it up smartly and chucked it into first baseman and almost made a play there with Brody Alexander for a very rare 9-3 out, but it wasn't meant to be. So Nutt is on at first, and that brings up the current pitcher, number 6, Felix Larose. Larose singled in the last inning. Nutt is on the move. The throw from Whalen is in time. So that's probably justice if you are a Tide fan. Probably tough luck if you are a Giants fan. So now 2 out for Larose. He's got the 1 ball. So Larose did single in his last at-bat and actually came around to score to help his cause. So far he's been pretty effective at keeping the Tide off the scoreboard. So 2-1 now. And a big cut for strike 2. Larose, interestingly enough, especially on a cold day, not wearing any batting gloves. Going old school. And he takes strike 3 looking. So Nate Major comes in and ends up having a 3-up, 3-down inning with 2 strikeouts. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th with the score unchanged. Tide leading 10-8. All right, welcome back. Here we are, bottom of the sixth inning, tied, holding on to a 2-run lead, 10-8 over the Giants from Ontario. And the second baseman, Noah Charlton, takes strike one from Felix Larose. So that one took a bite out of the umpire. It is definitely stinging. Discussions with third base umpire. First base umpire coming over to check out. Yep, that one definitely stung. Tide trainer just coming to have a look. Rocketed off his right hand. Good news is he's flexing the fingers. Let's just say it's going to leave a mark. And tomorrow he may not be doing that flex the finger thing. So we'll just pause while he gets a little bit of treatment. All right, so umpire says, I'm okay. A bit of a round for him. As you can see, that one definitely stung when it came off of him. So 1-1 count to Noah Charlton. On deck now is Ryan Whalen, who's the current catcher. It'll be his first at-bat. But first, Charlton. Facing Larose. High for ball 2. Inside, now ball 3. So 3-1 in the count now. Larose has had 2 good innings in relief so far. Looking to repeat that. That one gets through the legs of the catcher. Not that it matters because it was ball 4. So, Noah Charlton down to first here in the bottom of the 6th. And Ryan Whalen comes up to the plate for the first time today. So catchers today have been fairly productive. Brandon Caven and Andrew Baxter. Catchers have all gotten on base the 3 times they've been up. Now Ryan Whalen will be trying to maintain that. Larose just checking to make sure Charlton knows that he is aware of his presence there. And a strike delivered to Whalen as the replacements continue. Jackson Cordell is on deck as Larose goes back to first base to try and catch Noah Charlton napping. No such luck for the Giants. Ryan Whalen still waiting for a second pitch. And here it comes. That was inside. So now 1-1. The count. Larose delivers strike 2. Dewer drops the ball and kind of, I don't know if he forgot Charlton was at second base or not, but didn't show a lot of urgency in picking the ball up. So 1-2 now the count to Whalen. Charlton at second, nobody out. So RBI opportunity here. Outside ball 2. 2-2. Comes the pitch. Called strike 3. So Whalen will sit down. Called out on strikes. And Jackson Cordell will come out for the first time today. He's replacing Will Podmarov, who walked twice, struck out twice, did score a run, and Cordell fouls that one off for strike 1. Cordell listed at 6'4", 177 pounds. Pops this one into center field. It should be caught, and it is. He becomes the second out. Charlton stays at second. And that means it is time for Austin Wall to come to the plate. So Austin Wall comes in. Wall has been playing shortstop. Wall fouls this one down the third baseline. Wall, whose twin brother is Miles. Miles bats from the right. Austin is a switch hitter. So with the right-hander on the mound, Austin is batting from the left. This one he chops, gets a small piece of. 0-2 now, the count to Wall.
No, this is Austin. But who's on second base?
So Wall steps in. Charlton getting ready to run. That is fouled off. So Wall dribbles that one foul. Everyone just kind of watched.
They just changed. Because Austin Wall came in for the start. So obviously they changed the batting order as well.
So Larose still has an 0-2 count on Wall. Tries to get the outside corner, doesn't get the call. So 1-2 now with 2 out. Noah Charlton looking to advance at least 90 feet. He'd prefer 180 feet. Extend the lead. That one gets away from the catcher. He cannot get the ball down to first base, even though it was strike 3 in time. So Wall safe at first. Charlton advances to third, and that will bring up number 12. So, Alex Mclaughlin stepping in. So Mclaughlin has runners at first and second. And a big cut from Mclaughlin for the strike. On deck, Brody Alexander, as the changes continue to make their way into the plate appearances. Most of these changes have already happened. This ball on the ground. Third baseman turns to play at second for the third out. So we will go to the the top of the seventh, and the score will remain 10-8. Another clean inning there for the Giants. All right, welcome back. Here we are, top of the seventh inning. Stepping up to bat, number 99, Max Hernandez Garcia. Nate Major returns to the mound for the Tide, and he delivers a first pitch strike one here in the top of the seventh. So the Giants refuse to go away quietly. Strike two. They were down 5-0 at one point. They were down 8-4 at another point. 10-4 at one point. They've battled back. It's now only a two-run game. And that one from Major high for ball one to Hernandez Garcia. Light slowly starting to come on here. That one gets away. So, Whalen on the pass ball strike three thought he touched Hernandez Garcia. The umpire initial call was he did not. So Garcia is at first. We're now calling over the third umpire to have a further discussion on this. We'll see what happens. For now, Hernandez Garcia is at first. It looks like he will be staying there. Smarter play would have been to still relay the ball, but doesn't matter now. Adrian Dewer comes to the plate. Dewer, who is now the catcher. takes strike one. Dewer's actually had a decent day at the plate. This is his fourth appearance. He's been on base twice, struck out once, scored once, sprung out at third once. Takes strike two from Nate Major. So 0-2 with Hernandez Garcia at first. Garcia is gone. Whalen's throw is off the bag, so Garcia will be safe, and the batter is out. So, another stolen base for Hernandez Garcia. And number 47, Whit Nevins, comes to the plate. So Nevins now has a runner in scoring position. Nevins actually represents the tying run. That's high for ball one. Nate Major on the mound. Second inning. Had a 3-up, 3-down inning in the sixth, his first inning. Here in the seventh, Hernandez Garcia made it to first on a miscommunication, a misplay, defensive lapse, call it what you want. That's ball three to Whit Nevins. Be interesting to know if any of these tied players have an extra advantage of knowing what the pitcher's tendencies are. This one popped up and away. Whalen's neck was arched at quite an acute angle, so there's no way he was getting that ball. 3-1 count now to Whit Nevins. Major delivers. He gets strike two. So from 3-0 to 3-2 for Major. Trying to take care of business himself here. On deck, Ryder Greene. This ball hit to the second baseman. Charlton can't get a handle on it. So Nevins safe at first. Whit Nevins safe at first. Hernandez Garcia at third now. Only the one out for Ryder Greene. Ryder Greene represents the go-ahead run here in the top of the seventh. If you're Nate Major, you're probably trying to put aside the fact that the two runners who are on should be out, and you should be out of the inning because it doesn't matter. The reality is there are runners on the corner, and that is ball one delivered to Ryder Greene. There goes the runner. Runner called out, but the decision by Whalen to make the throw allows Hernandez Garcia to score. So you at home decide if that was the right play or not. There is now two out. Nevins gone on the throw, but it is now 10-9. The Giants, the closest they've been since the first inning. This hard hit ball by Greene to Wall at shortstop. Nice play by Brody Alexander, who came off the bag but came down and spun to tag Greene for the third out. But the Giants of Ontario get a run. So we go to the bottom of the seventh. It's now 10-9 for the Tide. All right, welcome to the bottom of the seventh inning. What looked like it was going to be a blowout is now a very tight game between the Golden Tide and the Ontario Giants. 10-9 the score. As Tide first baseman Brody Alexander takes strike one from new Giants pitcher Max Hernandez Garcia. Garcia started the game as the catcher, moved to first base, and is now on the mound for the Giants. I believe now catching for him is Felix Larose, who he's replacing as pitcher. Alexander hits that one down the first base line for strike two. So 1-2 now the count to Brody Alexander here in the bottom of the seventh. After setting a steady stream of players up in the first few innings, the Tide have now gone 3 innings in a row without scoring a run, while the Giants have nibbled away at that lead, and it's now just one run. Brody Alexander set to do something about that. He puts that into center field. He is digging deep, and he is going to go for the double, and he is going to achieve that. Stand-up double for Brody Alexander to get things started here in the bottom of the seventh. So that brings up number 21, Brendan Morrison. So Morrison from New Westminster. The freshman at Camosun. Batting from the left-hand side. 5'11", 210 on our score sheet. This one he hits to the second baseman who picks it up, so Morrison will be out. But Morrison has advanced Brody Alexander to third base. So that means a fly ball by Tristan Bolger will add another run. Give a bit more space for the tie. So Tristan Bolger steps in. And Bolger takes strike one with one out. That one is in the dirt. Brody Alexander thinks about it. Got back. The throw from the catcher was a little off target. Actually, a very nice play by Jacob Nutt, who's now playing third base, to Nutt looks to be like well over 6 foot. He climbed the ladder to grab that ball to make sure it didn't sail into left field. So Alexander stays at third. Bolger takes strike two. So 1-2 the count now. As the temperatures drop, the game heats up. Ball two. The lights are slowly coming on here at Wilson Stadium. Catcher tries to frame that, and the umpire says that's not going to work. It is still a ball. So full count now to Bolger. Alexander at third. That one definitely outside, ball four. So Chase Thompson comes to the plate, the left fielder. With men at the corners and only the one out. So Thompson flares one. Second baseman is going to handle, and everybody goes back to where they were. So now 2 out. Men still at the corners. And Noah Charlton, the second baseman, is coming to the plate. Charlton can find some outfield green. He will score a run. The runner goes. I don't understand this play. The tie did it as well. So the runner goes, and you allow a run to score. So Brody Alexander, Brody Alexander comes home to make it 11-9, and the runner, Bolger, is safe at second. One and one is the count to Charlton. We had the same thing in the top of the inning, where actually the pitcher, Hernandez Garcia, came in to score. He was at third. Runner at first. Catcher makes the play to second, allowing a run to score. And that just happened here again with Brody Alexander coming in. Seems a bad trade-off. And now Bolger on that pass ball moves to third base. So no Charlton. Now there's a runner at third base and a 3-1 count. On deck, Ryan Whalen, the catcher. That ball way outside. Nice job by Larose to keep it in front of him. That he got by. That would have been another run. So, men at the corners for Ryan Whalen. as he steps to the plate. The catcher. Charlton at first. Bolger at third. Whalen at the plate. Hernandez Garcia on the mound. The on-deck circle, Jackson Cordell. Whalen had thought about that, decided not to. The umpire says, maybe you should have. So he calls that strike one. That is strike two as Whalen fouls that off. So Hernandez Garcia gets out to an 0-2 lead on the batter Whalen. This ball hit to second base. It's bobbled. And everybody's safe. Bolger safe at home for run number 12. Charlton is safe at second. And Whalen is safe at first. And that brings up Jackson Cordell to the plate. If you're Hernandez Garcia, probably a little frustrated, but it's been a long day for some of these Giants players. Clearly some of them are playing out of position. That ball somehow gets past or through, more accurately, the first baseman. It looked like it was going to be a routine out, and instead it is the bases loaded for Austin Wall. So Wall comes to the plate with the bases loaded. Switch hitting shortstop. Takes strike one on the outside corner. They say the Giants have been, this ball picked up by the, it is turning into one of those innings, folks, that should have been the third out. First baseman could not hold on to it. So Austin Wall is safe at first. Jackson Cordell advances over to second. Ryan Whalen is now at third because Noah Charlton has made it home for that 13th run. I'm not really sure what the discussion at the mound is about. This is not a Hernandez Garcia problem. It's just some defensive miscues. Let's put it that way. So as we've discussed, the Ontario Giants are short on personnel for this game, so they have borrowed some of the Tide's younger players. They have made up the outfield consistently. Strike one there to Alex Mclaughlin. So the Tide have been the outfield for the Giants. Outside ball one. But on the infield, there's been a variety of position swaps. For example, the now starting pitcher has played catcher and first base. The current catcher played second and pitched. The starting pitcher is now at third base, but also played first base. So you're now starting to see some of these defensive miscues as the team tires. We are in the bottom of the seventh, but a 3-1 count to Alex Mclaughlin of the Tide. If you are Hernandez Garcia on the mound, you're probably thinking you should be out of this inning, and you're probably right, but he still needs one more out And he's now got a full count on Alex Mclaughlin. Here comes the pitch. The runners are gone. He finds the hole between second and first. That is going to score 2 runs. And we still have runners at first and third. So, need to clarify all of this. Ryan Whalen scores. Jackson Cordell scores from second. Austin Wall now at third. And Alex Mclaughlin is at first. And we are now back to Brody Alexander, who doubled to start this inning. And Brody Alexander takes strike 1. So after going 3 innings without scoring, the Tide have put 5 up in this inning. There goes the runner. There goes the throw. It is way over the shortstop's head. That scores another run to make it 16-9. So Austin Wall crosses the plate, and Alex Mclaughlin is at second, and a 1-1 count to Brody Alexander, who is up for the second time in this inning. Alexander got things started with a double out to left center field. Ball 2, so 2-1 now. Ball 3. On deck, the DH, Brendan Morrison. This should be the third out, and it is. Handled by the first baseman himself. But not before the damage is done. Tide score 6 more runs. So we will go to the top of the 8th inning, with the Tide now having what I assume is a commanding 16-9 lead. We'll see. The Giants so far have refused to give up, but they have only 6 outs left to score a bunch of runs. All right, welcome back. It is the top of the 8th inning here at Wilson Stadium at Royal Athletic Park. Ontario Giants down to their last 6 outs. They need to generate some offense here. That was not a good inning for them, the bottom of the 7th. 6 runs scored there by the Tide. Nate Major still on the mound for Victoria. This ball by Kai Gray hit right to Major. Lob over to Brody Alexander for the first out. And that will bring Dominic Biello to the plate. So 1 gone here. High from Major for ball 1. Biello pulls that down the third base line. Well out of play. Action down in the Tide bullpen. Not for any reason, obviously, with a 16-9 lead, other than trying to get as many pitchers an opportunity to get some game action. This is the last exhibition game of the fall season for the Tide. We do have an inter-squad game tomorrow. So we now have a 2-2 count to Biello. So of course the Tide season resumes in the spring in the CCBC. Ball 3. But if you're wondering if you think that means they hibernate here in Victoria for a few months, that is not what will happen. They'll get about a week off while the Tide staff put together specific programs. That one hard hit by Biello, but right into the glove of Charlton at second. So the second out of the 8th. Time is running out on the Giants. Ryan Fairholme now comes up to try and keep things going for his team. Tide also have the Edwards Family Training Center that they'll be able to use all winter. Ball 1 from Major. Or as I call it, Curtis's Cave. It is a great facility that the players have access to. The latest in technology, and then some old school things as well. So the players will have the opportunity to stay sharp. Obviously nothing replaces game time, but it is far better than not doing anything over the entire course of the winter. And of course, if you live in Victoria, not a lot of snow. Ooh, strikeout. So 3 up, 3 down inning for Nate Major. So we will go to the bottom of the 8th. The score remaining 69 for the Tide. All right, bottom of the 8th. Getting things started for the Tide will be the designated hitter, Brendan Morrison. Also scheduled to bat here in the bottom of the 8th, Tristan Bolger and Chase Thompson. We'll see how much farther down the lineup we get. Barring something unexpected, this should be the last at-bat of this fall exhibition season for the Tide. With a 16-9 lead, you wouldn't anticipate. Morrison smokes one into right field, so a single for him, as he looks to extend this season for just a little bit longer. So a single for Morrison, and Tristan Bolger comes to the plate. Max Hernandez Garcia remains on the mound, and he gets strike one on Bolger. Bolger fooled by that pitch. Quick look over to Morrison. Strike two. I went inside on Bolger. The 7-run lead. I don't really expect Morrison to be a threat to run. Hard hit ball that is going to find a hole. Morrison safe at second. Bolger at first. And now Chase Thompson comes to the plate. So it looks like the Tide want to get as many at-bats as they can, and what is likely to be their last at-bats of the fall season. So Chase Thompson steps in, runners at first and second, and he takes ball one high from Hernandez Garcia. On deck is Noah Charlton. That one foul tipped off by Thompson. 1-1. Quick adjustment by Hernandez Garcia. And he gets the outside corner for strike two. So 1-2 now. Here comes the pitch. And he gets a strikeout on Chase Thompson, something that he needed. He's got men on first and second with nobody out. That will bring up Noah Charlton. So Charlton will step in with one out and two on. Charlton walked in the 7th and scored eventually. This one he foul tips for strike one. On deck is number 25, Jai Barazowski. Looks like he will come in to catch the top of the 9th. I deduce that because he is wearing the pads. But before he comes in to catch, he is going to have an opportunity to do some damage with the bases loaded. Ryder Greene, playing shortstop there, couldn't quite find the handle on the rolling ball, so that means Brendan Morrison advances to third, and Bolger is at second, and Noah Charlton is at first. For Barazowski, with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th and only one out. High ball one. That one gets away from the catcher. Morrison, no, smartly decides just to stay where he is at third base and wait for his colleague to bring him around, Barazowski. So 2-0 the count now. You can see by the fluttering of jerseys, the wind remains a force here. Outside, ball 3. So I expect the bat will stay where it is. It does. Strike 1. Not unexpected. The base is loaded. If you can get a free one, you'll take it. Barazowski now will be looking to do something, and it is walk to first base as he takes ball 4. So Morrison scores. Bolger moves to third. Charlton is at second. And Barazowski is now at first. That brings up Jackson Cordell. And I should probably change the scoreboard. There we go, 17-9 now for Cordell as he comes up to the plate. Some more discussion on the mound. Quite a team meeting. Looks like we're having a pinch runner for Barazowski in the form of, it looked like it was Ryan Whalen coming in to run. That has the added advantage of allowing Barazowski to get suited up. If you're a player, my guess it is starting to feel quite cold out there. Ball 1 to Cordell. And on deck, we have the shortstop number 4, Austin Wall. Cordell, a chopper that just kind of dies. Another run scores. Bolger comes across, but the throw from Hernandez Garcia gets Cordell out at first. So he now has 2 away. And Austin Wall comes up. It looks like they're going to make a pitching change here for the last out. Yes, they are. And as we talked about earlier in the game, the Tide are offering up a relief pitcher. See what they can do here. So it's 2 out. Scores 18-9 with runners at first and second. Sorry, I have that wrong. With runners at second and third. Charlton's now at third. And Whalen, who's pitched running for Barazowski, is at second. Can't quite see the number. It's number 20. That's Brady Wilson, who is on the mound. Brady, who is from Calgary, Alberta, playing for the Tide. Wilson's a junior at UVic studying psychology. Come in and see if he can get the final out for the Ontario Giants, as they then have a rather large hill to climb in the top of the 9th, as they are currently down by 9 runs. So Wilson will face Austin Wall. And as we've talked about, the Wall brothers, Austin is a switch hitter. So now that the lefty Wilson is in, Wall will step into the other side of the batter's box. Ball one, gets away from the catcher, high. Charlton just stays at third. So ball one to Wall with 2 out. Strike one. 1-1 to Wall now. Wall potentially the last batter of the fall season for the Tide. The Ontario Giants, of course, still have 1 at-bat left, but they are down currently by 9. A check of first base says Wall did not go around. So 2-2 count now. High ball 3 from Wilson. Wilson wearing his hat jauntily. Wilson gets the strikeout. So we will go to the top of the 9th with the Tide now holding an 18-9 lead. Yeah.
He's got a batting cage in his backyard.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, team used to practice there.
All right, welcome back. It is the top of the 9th inning. The Golden Tide of Victoria have an 18-9 lead over the Ontario Giants. This is the final exhibition game of the fall season for the Tide. And on the mound to try and close things out, number 34, Zeke Holt. Holt gets a foul ball off that shot. So he now has a 1-1 count on Jacob Nutt. Holt, who is, of course, one of the veterans on this team, a senior. He's played in the CCBC before. Also has a lot of power. When he's at the plate, he plays DH often. Strike 2 there Familiar figure in right field. And so far, the only tie player that I've seen here at Wilson Stadium hit one out of the park. I've seen him do it a couple of times. So, full count now to Jacob Nutt. Nutt gets hold of this. It is going to find the gap. Nutt is going to be up at second. So Nutt keeps things going or gets things started. We'll see if things keep going. He starts with a double. And a nice double. Nicely hit ball by Jacob Nutt. That brings up Felix Larose. So the runner at second, down by 9. Larose takes strike 1. Ball 1 from Holt. 1-1. We're at the heart of the Giants lineup. Ball 2 now. Holt just needs to throw strikes, get the ball in play. You have a 9-run lead. And he gets that call from the umpire. So 2-2. Tied 3 outs from ending their inaugural exhibition season on a positive note. This one popped up. Player still showing a lot of energy. That was Alex Mclaughlin. But there's a fence in the way. So, count remains 2-2 now to Larose. Hope just pauses for a moment to allow everyone to reposition. Nutt still over there at second. This one is popped up and should be caught. No, looks like it's out of play. And it is. So, count still 2-2 as Larose fights to continue this inning. That wild pitch from Holt will move the runner, Nutt, over to third base. So full count for Larose. The Giants with a chance to also get into double digits on the scoreboard. Ball 4 called by the umpire. So all of a sudden you have runners at first and third and nobody out. The good news is the Tide have a 9-run lead, but they should start getting some outs. They can. Strike 1 to Hernandez Garcia. This one flared off into right field. Tristan Bolger cannot get to it. That ball is fair. 1 run scores. That is Nutt who comes across. Larose goes to third. And Hernandez Garcia has himself a double. So it's now 18-10. So both teams are in double digits. And nobody out here in the top of the ninth. Adrian Dewer takes the strike call. That shot by Hernandez Garcia. Strike 2. Now to Dewer. Down the right field line. Bolger laid out for it. Just missed it. Quickly got up though to get the ball back in. So it did stop probably a second run. This one hit out to Chase Thompson in left field. They're going to go for it. Cut off by Alex Mclaughlin. Probably the smart move. So another run scores. Now 18-11 with 1 out and Hernandez Garcia still at second base. And that brings up Whit Nevins. High, ball 1. So Nevins, who is one of the Tide players who have been filling in here. This ball to Wall. Nice throw by Wall. And that, folks, is the game. It ends on a double play. Beautiful play by Austin Wall to get Whit Nevins at first. Heads up play by Brody Alexander to get the ball over to Alex Mclaughlin, who ends up tagging the runner. And that, folks, is a wrap on the Golden Tide's inaugural fall season. Hope you enjoyed it. We will see you again in the spring. Final score here from Wilson Stadium at Royal Athletic Park, 18-11 for the Tide over the Ontario Giants.